Hello there, guys. So hopefully you can hear me okay and there's not too much background noise. I've waited as long as I can to do this live. So I really want to talk to you guys today about something which is really, really annoying me in the spiritual community again, because it's like it comes around every so often and it feels like really having to fight back against it. If you follow me on Patreon, you know the cards that I pulled for the week for everybody were very much in keeping with this judgmental shiz that's going on right now, to the point where I wrote the beginning of a blog post. I may still write that blog post, and I'm just going to read that, and then we're going to like deep dive into what I think and feel about it. So here's the thing. Tearing each other down is easy. Judgment is easy. Ranting about how someone should be, should practice, should feel from your limited perspective, which is limited in that it is from one person, is easy. And none of that is right. It doesn't help anything. It doesn't change the world. It doesn't help people grow. And you know why? It just feeds smugness, superiority complexes, narcissism, which is the keyhole into spiritual stagnation. And so this judgmental thing that is going around again, who's a real witch, how they practice, this stupid meme about Becky is just like, guys. And people are like full on arguing about these things. People are full on arguing about these. Hi, there we go. Facebook was lagging. Finally, I saw you all. I was just talking at the ether until I suddenly all these messages popped up. And it's making the rounds again that we're kind of looking over the fence about how other people practice, and there are people coming to the fore who are telling people they're all wrong. They're getting really like, it's like 1984 thought police about it. It's not okay. It's not okay. We're supposed to be here like helping each other along the road, meeting each other at the place where we're at, honoring the places that we have all come from, realizing there is not one message for everybody in spiritual paths, spiritual learning, and meeting as this incredible mesh of minds that can discuss things with sensitivity and not be like, there is one cookie cutter answer for everybody, because there's not. There is not one answer for every person who is looking at spirituality and who wants to grow. And you know why? Because witchcraft and spiritual paths that feed into witchcraft and all those spiritual denominations that we give them are highly and incredibly personal. And if there was one answer for everybody out there, we'd all be uniform. We'd all be a statistic. We're not. We're human beings. Human beings feel and think and create and discover and live in a world of adventure and otherness. And the idea that there is one correct way to perform that magic is riling me up a little bit right now. It is something that I really need to just sit and talk about, because I feel like people need each other to show up for one another and stop saying like there is one way and she's not doing it right and he's not committed enough and this isn't how I've decided this is the answer to the way. And it's like, what way are you talking about? Because spirituality is the discovery of soul. It is the discovery of who we are underneath when we take away the layers of conformity. It's not necessarily drama. It's just a general consciousness of feeling that is coming through right now, which is, I don't come on here to talk about these because I've noticed specific drama, because if that is drama leeching, which I wrote a blog post about, it's like, if you have nothing to say other than drama, when drama happens and then you stick your oar in and deliver your opinion, you're creatively bankrupt, and you've got to do some shadow work at that point, or you don't care. And so to focus only on drama to me is like the sign of someone who has nothing to say, who is bankrupt in their spirituality and creativity because they have to stick their oar in with regards to drama. So it's not about a personal thing for this. It's me noticing that we're getting back into this idea of, I have the answer. I will sell you the answer. Take my course, take my thing, take their thing, because there's one answer to spirituality. And it's stagnant. I'm over it. It's bullshit. It's not taking into account people's experiences. It's a sort of hubris thing that happens where it's like, I know better than everyone else because I have the answers, and no one person has all the answers for everybody, because people are complex, diverse, deep beings that deserve multiple choice answers. And I feel like being like, there isn't drama. I've just sat here and said there isn't drama. I've said there is a general feeling that's happening right now where people are pushing an agenda through the one spiritual path. And it's happening in disjointed places. It's happening all over. The idea that there is one correct way to be a witch, one correct way to be spiritual, and every other way is defunct and outmoded and wrong. And all it is feeding the narcissism of the people doing it, because human beings deserve multiple choice. You go to a banquet and they serve you soup and nothing else. Would you be annoyed? I'd be annoyed. I don't care for soup. So if I went into a banquet, it's like, your taste buds will be heightened and have the best experience of their life with this soup. I'd take a good hard look at it and be like, yeah, but no. Like, nowhere else do we get this nonsense. Like, human beings explore the world around them. They experience it. They put their fingers into it. They taste it. They touch it. They have all these senses. And then we experience the world around us, firstly as it is, and then as witches and spiritual beings. We seek to understand the world beyond the world that we can perceive with our basic hands and senses, and we seek the otherness in the world. We seek the liminal spaces. We seek something that we begin feeling as an inkling, as a knowledge, and the synchronicities that all coalesce and weave together in a tapestry. The way that we are sure we saw a spirit out the corner of our eye. The way when we were kids we just believed in them and spoke to them. The way that we have innate knowledge from other lives that we can't fully explain, which feeds into the philosophy of the soul. We look at the world with mystery and awe and reverence, and we know that when we touch a tree in nature and something happens energetically that we can't fully explain, but we definitely experience. And we feel this through an evolution of self. And we should apply critical thinking, which is part and parcel why I'm doing this right now, because critical thinking does not ask you to obey. Critical thinking does not tell you that this is the only way of looking at the world and every way is wrong. Critical thinking asks you to look at the world around you, look at the different methods, look at the different ideas, and find your way. A real teacher does not say, I'm going to teach you what you need to know because I know these things and you need to know them. A real teacher in spirituality says, what do you know? What do you feel? What do you think? What do you experience? Here's some knowledge of mine. What do you think of that? Let's debate. Let's chew on it. Let's have a dialogue. I will meet you as a full, cognizant, fully emotive human being who I respect in your entirety, as am I. And we can meet as a like-minded minds and we can debate and discuss, even if we don't agree. And if we don't agree, guess what? That's fine. We don't all need soup. The thing about life is it comes in all of these flavors. It comes in all of this vast abundance of this world around us. To make it stagnant, to make it sanitized, to make it one mold fits all is the ugliest thing I can think of. The idea of uniformity, of boring uniformity, where there is no creation, no expression, no feeling, no passion, just autopsy on the spiritual table of life. No, I think it's this epidemic that is happening in our spiritual community, that they think that they need to control people. And control, by the way, only serves them, the people promoting an idea. Control serves those who want the world to fit in boxes. And what use is that? Because then they can understand you, because then they can sell things to you, then they can make you into a statistic. And you are not a statistic. You are valid. I am valid. Other people's feelings are valid. There is no one way to do this. And I've been fighting against this idea for what feels like years. And I will keep fighting this idea every time it raises its head, because it's so arrogant. It's so full of hubris. It's so full. And you can like soup. That's fine. I'm not saying don't like soup. I don't like soup. I find it dull. I find it boring. But I know, and there are going to be so many comments when I upload this to YouTube about Joey. This is a decent soup. But like, it's not really about soup, guys. It's about human soup. It's about who we are as people, the melting pot, the accumulation of experiences, of feelings, of ideas, the sharing of minds and hearts and bodies, the collective consciousness that evolves together when we are not fighting the different parts of humanity. We are not seeking to subjugate people. We are saying, yeah, okay, I don't feel right about that. And we learn as a collective as well as the individual. These things are not separate. And I know you're joking. So was I. I'm just kind of passionate right now. You might have noticed, because this bugs me. I wrote the blog post like for badwitch.es ages ago, like years ago, like, are you for real witch? And it was a whole like there is no one definition. There is no one way of practicing. And why would we want that? Creativity dies on the altar of sanitization. I want everything to be uniform and everything to be the same, and everybody is the same. No, they're not. No, they're not. And people, that's okay, Nathan. Welcome to the mixing pot. You can be the smart ass. But people are not the same. And that's why I think it's really important to empathize and meet people with understanding, to listen to their stories, to not expect them to be how you have decided they should be, because expectation is the mother of all fuck-ups. And to expect somebody to fulfill your needs based on your perception of the world is incredibly limited and incredibly selfish and incredibly judgmental. Because there are so many different ways of walking paths through this world. Even if you look at the idea of life paths, even if you look at the idea of archetypes, there are many that in the spiritual community alone, which people rise up to fill. And so if someone is born into that artistic vibration, if someone wants to walk their spiritual life as an artist, then trying to force them to be like a legal-minded person is going to be of detriment to their soul and their spiritual experience, and it's just creating a cage and crushing them, because we've decided that there is one way of doing things. Now, I know that some of this has, by the way, come about from the irritating meme that's going around right now about Becky. And I will say that to a certain degree, memes don't matter, right? To a certain degree, they're flippant, but they do get around. They do get shared a lot. A lot of people see them, and a lot of people put energy behind them and feed into them. I got annoyed about the Lilith and Eve one, the one that's like, be Lilith, don't be Eve, because we are shaming one kind of woman. And I was just like, oh, for God's sake. And I got really ranty about that too. And so I'm going to get a little bit ranty about this, because this idea that we're looking at somebody who is inexperienced, or that we're looking at somebody who doesn't know quite what they're doing, and we are judging them for being a newbie witch because they've bought their herbs from the store or something, is a sickness that is like, I am holier than thou because of this reason. And I'll tell you where this all comes from. It comes from lack mentality. People who are completely secure in who they are as an individual, who know what they have to bring to the table, who know what their spirituality means. I don't know who Becky is. It's a random meme. And people who are completely secure in themselves and their spiritual message, they don't need to squash other people's spiritual message. Do you know why? Because they're not threatened by it. It's not going to take something away from them. And the only people who sell one message, like I said in the community video, are selling something, and they are trying desperately so that you will give them money, time, attention, or energy, and you won't give it to anyone else. They're trying to make other people look inferior to build themselves up, which is one of the oldest tricks in the book. And guess what? It never, ever works. Yes, I'm not the massive fan of the Cardassians, but I do agree. The one that's like, be in a world full of Cardassians, be this. That's problematic, because it's immediately shaming one kind of person in favor of another. It's like, no, choose who you want to be. Now, I think, the Cardassian stuff is problematic in another way, because it represents a kind of shallow materialism, which obviously is no place in spirituality. But like, that's a whole other thing that we can talk about. So honestly, there are so many people with so many diverse messages who are discovering things all the time, who bring things to that banquet table we talked about earlier. They all bring their incredible dishes with their incredible flavors, their pains, their experiences, their life, their being, their essence, and they all sit down and they partake in this great banquet metaphor for life. And there is something incredible in that moment, that sharing, that vulnerability, that power that passes between people who meet and discuss and feel and honor one another, and the dishonor that comes through, which Morrigan's been writing my ass about this, by the way, the dishonor that comes through that from that notion that there is one way to practice spirituality, and you're going to be judgy and shitty to other people, and you're going to call them names, and you're going to like squash them down and try and make out that they're wrong just because they don't agree with your limited point of view, which, if you buy into that, is limiting and limited. The dishonor. It's so obvious too why it's done. It's so obvious because it's always tacked on with, do you want the answer? I have the answer. Come buy my answer. And you know what that is? Smokes and mirrors, guys. There is no simple, quick solution for anything. There is experience. There is emotion. There is shadow. There's doing the deep work. There's experiencing the world around you. There's listening. There's connecting with spirits and ancestors. There's learning things from other people who've walked before you, and those who maybe have walked at the same time as you but have a completely unique perspective. Because the more you broaden your horizons, the more you broaden your mind, the more you kind of expand yourself into a better person. And the more you expand yourself, the more you realize the interconnectedness of nature, the interconnectedness between I curse upon you, I curse upon your cow. That's Chris. The more that you realize you're connected to people, the less like a statistic they become, the less like a thing to be, sold to they become. And if you are in the realm of spiritual business, which I am, it's a fucking honor. It is an honor to help and supply and support other people in the spiritual community. It is an honor, and people disrespecting that honor. So if people are selling you the way, they become like a meme themselves, don't they? They know the way. Well, sorry guys, but so do you. Your soul knows. If you listen, if you give it the chance, if you give it the opportunity, you might look for guides along the way. You might look for knowledge along the way. You might partake of services, of books, of physical goodies. That's absolutely great. You're not only helping support a community that cares, but you're experimenting with things that you have available to you. And me as a spiritual entrepreneur, as the Instagram tag goes, which I love, by the way, the soulpreneur. If you're a soulpreneur, you know what matters? Soul. Soul matters. And I won't tell you that I have the way, the only way. I will not tell you that I see the Morrigan in the correct way. I will not tell you that I practice witchcraft in the only way to do that. I will tell you that these are the sum of my experiences. I will tell you that I have joint experiences with other people, because that is what is needed. Collective as well as independent thinking, not one or the other, because that dichotomy thing, ugh, and not judgment. Not calling other people a pig to a dog because they're not the same as you. The world needs more of that en masse. Never mind in spiritual communities, which is supposed to be about bettering ourselves. Right, I'm done. I have ranted. I have raved. I have talked about soup. Only on my channel could we talk about soup in the midst of like whatever this was. But it's been bothering me. It's been bugging me. It's something that needs to die in a hole, honestly. Like, there needs to be honoring instead of dictating and thinking that that's the way, because that's no good. We don't need the dictating. So, from a very sparkly Joey to all you guys out there, I love you all. Stay true to you. Do your thing. Do your thing, girl. Do your thing, girl. Come on. Guys, too. I mixed songs in there. You missed the soup. You can go back. This will be on YouTube. It's fine. I talked. Many blessings, guys. Talk to you on the next one.